jerky today. I have a bunch of pork left over, so I need to find something to make with it. And I'm gonna make some pork jerky. Never had it, never made it, but we're gonna make some today. So this is how I make it. Okay, here's my concoction I made for today's pork jerky. I already mixed it all up. I put the ground pork into a 1 gallon bag, and then I add all these seasonings to it. Mix it all up real well and let it marinate. We got 2 tablespoons of the Dale's steak seasoning, 15 to 20 drops of liquid smoke. I think I put 20 in here, just depends on how much liquid or mesquite you want to taste. We got a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder. Those 4 things go into all the jerky I make, no matter what. This time I'm trying the Lawry seasoned salt. That got a teaspoon. And chili powder got a 1/4 teaspoon. I didn't want to put too much in there because the kids love to eat this stuff, but they don't like spicy things. And then in the Tupperware container over here, you may be wondering what that's all about. That is brown sugar. Never even thought about putting brown sugar in my jerky until this year, and I've put it in the last 3 batches I've made, and it's been great. So I put 2.5 tablespoons of brown sugar in there. Every time I've made it with the brown sugar, I always think to myself I could have put more in, so I'm just upping it a little bit until I find the right amount. But that's what I used to season my pork jerky today, and we'll let you guys know how it tastes when it comes out. This is the jerky gun I use. I got it at RKO a couple years ago. Not quite sure on the price, but I've used it a lot and it works really well. So this is the Power Air Fryer oven. This is what I use to make my jerky. You open it up. It's got a bunch of different shelving places or adjustments. You can adjust the shelves. Came with these 3 shelves. It actually fits 1 pound of meat in there perfectly. And this is what I use to make my jerky. I'll show you all the settings and things like that here in a bit. So now we're going to prepare these shelves for me to put the jerky on and get ready to put them into the oven. So you don't have to do this, but I do it because it is a lot easier to remove the jerky, especially if it's wet when you put it on here. But I put some tin foil on top of the shelves and then spray the tin foil very lightly with some canola oil. Again, you don't have to do it, but in my experience, it is much easier to do that. When you do that, you have to put the jerky in for a little bit, let it start cooking or drying out, and then you will take the shelves out, take the foil off, and the jerky will be dried enough to where it's not going to stick to the shelves. So we're going to go ahead and prepare those now. Okay, now we've let our meat sit for quite some time. You can see a little bit. So there's still some juices in there, so we'll make sure that it's all mixed up into the meat. So now what I like to do is, before I put it in my jerky gun, I like to take a little bit out at a time, and it's pretty wet. So I'll take a little bit out and I'll kind of make it into like this oval or cylinder, I guess. But it's wet. So I'll roll it on paper towel a little bit and kind of just soak up a little bit of that meat or that moisture. And it doesn't soak up a whole lot, but it makes it a little less wet. So then once it's in the nice cylinder shape, I'll go ahead and put it in my tube. Okay, so now that we got our meat in the jerky gun, we're gonna go ahead and squeeze out a little bit of air so we see it start coming out. There we go. So it'll kind of start pushing itself out here, but we're just gonna make some lines, and I kind of like to try and get the jerky to be bunched up just a little bit. Makes it a little bit thicker. Just gonna squeeze it out. Once you get quite a bit on there, then you don't have to hold the end anymore. All the way down. Now kind of pinch it off. I'll push that down a little bit. You can move it around, it ain't gonna hurt anything. We're gonna get this whole one done here. Get them put in the air fryer. Like I said, this air fryer will do a whole pound of meat, but you still want to get these strips as close as you can together. All right, so we're done laying those strips out, but we still got a bunch of meat. And here in the, it's trapped in the nozzle. So we want to get that out. So, now that we got all that extra meat out, we're just gonna make a little patty, a meat patty. All right, we're gonna get cleaned up a little bit, and we're gonna put these in the air fryer. Now we're gonna put them in the air fryer. I'm gonna put the patty one up top here. Deep dish in the middle. And this one will go on the bottom. Now, this air fryer has a dehydrator setting down here. So we're gonna hit that. Get this up to 150. And I'm only gonna do 2 hours to begin with. Actually, it won't go below two hours. So we're gonna do it at 2 hours, and it automatically starts cooking there all by itself. So it'll let me know when 2 hours is up, and I will bring you guys along when we check it. All right, so we're gonna take these out. Let's see if you can see that juiciness on them. All right, so they're able to be moved a little bit, but they're definitely not done. But what we want to do is take this foil off now. So these things are looking a little greasy. So we're going to take them out and pat them down a little bit, try to get some of that pork fat grease off of there. They're getting real close to being done. So it is the next day. Last night about 11 o'clock I checked on these and they weren't quite done yet. It had been about 8 hours. I didn't want to stay up any longer. So I set the oven, the air fryer, to 150 degrees for another 4 hours. And the next morning, this is what we got. And that looks done to me. So you can see still a little bit of greasy on the top. So we're going to just pat those off a little bit, which is pretty normal from everything I've seen, especially when you have such a high fat content in the meat. Now, if I would have cut this meat straight off of whatever you want to cut it off of, the shoulder, the hind end, I could have eliminated a lot of that fat, and I don't think I'd have this problem, and they probably would have been done a lot faster. But I didn't. I used ground, so this is what we have to deal with, but that's okay. So, patted it off. Oh yeah. Breaks apart just like jerky. Not as dry as a lot of the jerky I've made, but it looks good inside there. Let's taste it. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Probably could have put a little more brown sugar in there and a couple more drops of mesquite. But that's really good. So probably what's going to happen, because this does have some fat in it, and fat tends to spoil pretty quickly, I'll probably put these in the refrigerator when I'm not eating them. But I highly suspect that these will be gone in the next day and a half, because everybody in my house loves to eat this stuff. So I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to get all these out, pat them all up, dry them up, and baggage them. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that really helps my channel out a lot. Subscribing if you haven't already done so, if that's what you want to do, and sharing the video. I would greatly appreciate it. If you like to see videos like this, don't forget to comment. Let me know. I'll make more. I do cook some stuff like this quite a bit. So, thanks for watching.